Hello you guys, happy 2026. I thought we would sit down today and walk through my budget for the year. I've been budgeting for about 5 years, so I have a pretty good estimate of what I'm going to spend in every category, but some things are going to change this year, so I thought I'd walk you through my process and how I go about estimating these types of things so that I stay on track throughout the year. So right on into it. It is a very overcast day here in Appalachia, so you guys are going to see me underlit by my screen the entire time. I thought I'd start off by showing you guys a little mini tour through our budget template to show you how it helps me set my goals. This is our deep view page, and on the very leftmost column, it shows our total spending for the entire predetermined time frame. So as you'll see in the top left corner, I have it set for January through December of 2025. And so the first column is totals spent in each category that was predetermined by us. You'll see in the tabs, the second tab is list, and that allows you to go through and set all of your categories that you have in your life. They may be different from mine that I'll go through in this video. So we set all of our categories and then have our totals for each of those. And then in the next column over is average spent. And this is where so much value comes from for me between the second column and the third column. So the second column shows me exactly what it is, average spent in each of these categories over the time frame I've set. So this gives me the average of January through December, basically what I spent per month in 2025. And then in the third column over, I am able to set my budget goals for the year ahead based on what I spent in the previous year. So today I'm going to walk you guys through how I use the data in the second column, basically that average spent, to set my goals for the year ahead. And then just an extra little tidbit, all of the numbers I set in the column today in the create your custom budget will roll over to the overview tabs. So if we go over to my overview tab, the second column there shows the budget I have set for each category throughout the year, and then I can compare the previous month's spending to that budget and see if I'm on track or not. So let's get into my 2026 budget. I like to organize my budget firstly by income. This is what I base my entire budget around, so I need to know at the very top what money is coming in, and then I break that down into 3 categories: my survival expenses, literally what it would cost for me to survive if I lost my job and there were some payments I still had to live with, and then pleasure expenses. I want to have fun and live at the end of the day, so I like to account for this as well. And lastly, my investments and savings. So let's just start right from the top with my income. I break this down into 3 categories: my primary paycheck. I work full-time salaried. I'm a recruiter, so this is, I'd say, 99 to 95% of my income. I did recently start a side hustle last year in 2025, so this is, I'd say, a growing part of my income, but nothing I rely on yet to the slightest bit. And then other income. Things that could fall in this are tax returns, monetary gifts from family members, things of that nature. So these are the 3 categories I have predetermined for 2026. And for my primary paycheck this year, unless there are any changes to my salary in the next few months, which I don't think there will be, I'm budgeting for $6,732.38 per month. So that should stay the same. I may see a bonus come in there at some point, but again, not banking on that, not budgeting for that. That's just extra money that would go straight to savings. For my side hustle, I recently just hit my first 1,000 made in November of 2025. And this year I'm setting a goal, I'd say somewhere between realistic and lofty. I don't want to what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to undermine myself and set something too easy, but I also don't want to set something that's so unrealistic and just makes this page not fun and all about earning money. So I've set something in between for me, and I am going to try and make $15,000 this year between brand deals and selling my budget and affiliates. So I think that this is pretty realistic. That would mean I'd have to make $1,250 a month. And again, I think that that's doable. I've started to get some brand deals that are around this range. So ideally, if I were able to do 1 or 2 of those a month and then have some down months and some higher months, it will all even out in the end. Other income, I don't budget for this at all. This is just another category to throw stuff in if anything else ever comes in, but I don't rely on that income. Next, into survival expenses. This goes from rent all the way down through business expenses. These are all categories I think would be necessary to survive. There are some caveats to this, like business expenses. If I ever lost my job, I could find a way to spend absolutely nothing on this page and still make it work, but I see it as a survival expense because it's something I'm trying to build right now and earn more income from. So starting from the very top, rent. We currently pay $2,250 for our place. My husband and I split our bills proportionate to our incomes, so I pay 30%, and that is $684.90 per month. We are going to move early this year, and I think we are ready to move somewhere that costs a little bit more. We have been so fortunate to live in many affordable places where we live over the first 5 years after college, but we're getting to the point now where we are starting to save a lot more than the recommended 20% of the 50-30-20 rule. And we have been making a lot of sacrifices in our living situation to save more, but it's starting to get to a point where it's affecting our, for lack of a better word, livelihood. The place we currently live in has had quite a few pest problems. It's an older property, and our landlord lives out of state, so I don't think he really cares about this place as long as someone is renting it and paying him. So we're ready to move. We're ready to upgrade a little bit and have somewhere that's nicer with less damage. I am going to assume throughout the entire year that I will spend about $958 per month on rent. This accounts for my portion of the rent we would be paying when we upgrade. So I've calculated that to come out to be about $958, and I'm ready to make this jump. For renter's insurance, last year I think I averaged about $5, and I'm not sure what this will look like when we move, so I'm going to budget $7 a month there. For utilities, last year I spent $72 approximately per month, and again, since we're moving and our place might be bigger, I'm going to budget $90 just to be safe. Hopefully this stays true when we actually do move. Wi-Fi, last year I spent $24 a month. This year, just for inflation, I'm going to say $25. Phone plan, I spent $46. So again, for inflation, I'm going to say $48. Groceries, I was trying to stick to a goal of $250 per month, but it came closer to $289 per month. And this year, I do want to feel just a little bit less stressed about sticking to that $250. I have some fitness and some weight gain goals for this year to just be a little bit healthier. And so I'm going to say $300. I think that that still is a budget amount for groceries, but also allows me some wiggle room and to not feel guilty buying some more nutrient dense ingredients. Household, last year I predetermined about $20. This was a new category I added towards the end of the year, so I don't really have specific data to back this up, but I'm going to estimate about $20 a month on on cleaning supplies and other things like that that we buy to keep our household running. Pet costs, I spent $377 per month last year for our puppy Bee. She was a puppy, and so this included her spay surgery, multiple rounds of vaccinations and things like that. So I want to find a way to get this lower. This has been kind of a surprising expense for us. This is my first time owning a puppy. My husband had one growing up, but again, as a kid, you're not really aware of what they actually cost. So we had no idea, and we've learned very quickly, but I would like to see this go down. So this is something I'm going to be really working towards next year. Health expenses, my husband's healthcare plan is decreasing in benefits a little bit next year. So I built this category in a few months ago so that I can start allocating some money per month towards health expense costs I may have that may not be covered. And last year I averaged about $26, but I'm going to up this because this kicked in at the end of the year. And so this is only like a few months of data spread out across 12 months. So I'm going to say about $80 per month will go towards this. I've been trying to go to acupuncture monthly to help with my lean PCOS. So $80 towards that and some other things that may come up here and there. For car payment, I don't have a car payment. I paid off my car last year, but I'm going to keep this category in there because I may have a car payment again someday. It's a very common expense. I just don't have one currently. So I have $0 allocated to that next year. Car maintenance, I really just foresee needing 2 oil changes per year. So those are about 90 per pop. 180 divided by 12 comes out to about 15 per month. Car insurance, I averaged about $61 last year. For inflation, I'm just going to say 65. Gas, last year I averaged 67, but I'd like to see it closer to 50. So that's going to be my goal for next year. I hope I can stick to it. I did quite a bit of driving this year that wasn't necessary. It was kind of just more frivolous. So I'm gonna see if I can rein that one in and set myself a goal for that. And business expenses. Last year I averaged about 63 per month. A lot of these were buying like first time one-off things like a font for my branding or things of that nature. And I don't foresee having all those expenses next year. Really all I have right now is my Stan Store subscription, but I think I've also found a free alternative to that. So I'm keeping it at 30 for now, but I may see this change. Okay, so now getting into my pleasure expenses. Last year I spent a little bit more in this category than I'd like. We did get married, we did honeymoon, so I understand why it was so high last year, but this year there will be no out of the ordinary things like that. So I'm thinking this year should be pretty run of the mill. I'm trying to rein quite a few of these in. Restaurants, last year I averaged $226 and my goal was about $200 per month, so I was just a little bit above. I'd like to keep that $200 goal and see if I can hit that this year. Work lunches, I averaged $49 per month last year. I would like to get this closer to $20, which was my goal, but again, didn't hit it last year, so we're rolling that one over, seeing if I can achieve it this year. Fitness, I averaged $76. This year, I have gotten rid of one of my subscriptions. I got rid of ClassPass because I wasn't using it as much as I would have liked, so I'm going to say about $70 per month this year for fitness. This is just a rock climbing gym membership and a regular gym membership. Parking, I live in a pretty car predominant city. I don't travel into the city a lot. We live in the suburbs, but I allocate about $10 per month if I do have to go into the city for something. Hobbies and entertainment, last year I averaged about $170, and I can't recall what this was on, but I think it was spent on gardening at the beginning of the year. I tried to build a garden in my backyard in Appalachia, and it is completely forested and nothing grew. So this was quite a waste of money, and I'm going to try and sell a few of the things I bought last year to get some of this money back, but I don't think this will be as high this year. I'm going to say say $100 will go towards hobbies and entertainment. Travel, I averaged $689 per month last year. This was because of our elopement and our honeymoon. I'd say a large part of this was our elopement. My husband and I combined spent, I think, about $7,000 on our elopement. So that would be about $300 or so of this per month, and then the other $300 was split between honeymoon and just some one-off little weekend trips here and there, or flights to visit family. Next year, I would like to see this be about $250 per month. I looked back at my 2024 data. I think I averaged closer to $200 per month in 2024. So I'd like to give myself a little bit more wiggle room to do a bit more fun travel, but nowhere near the $689 I spent last year getting married. Subscriptions, this year I averaged $26. I had a Spotify at the beginning of the year, and I think I included my Stan Store in this at one point before I set up my business expense category. So next year I will only be spending $3 per month in subscriptions. This covers my iCloud backup, and that's the only subscription I have. I don't really rely on streaming services because I love watching YouTube, and I just think there are so many free alternatives. Clothes, last year I averaged about $235. This year I'd like to bring that down a little bit because I do recognize that clothes are one of my weaknesses, but this $200 doesn't go towards multiple cheap items per month. I try and put it towards one really expensive, well-made, USA-made item per month. I like to support local businesses. One of the businesses I found this year that I'm obsessed with is Slow Sunday, and their dresses average about $200 or a little bit more. So that's why I've allocated $200 per month here, but I also have a really cool concept for a series for my Instagram and my YouTube this year that's going to be focused on ways I save in 12 different categories that you see on my budget here throughout the year. And January is going to be focused on clothing. So I'm not going to be buying any clothes in January. I'm going to show you guys how I mend and how I sew some clothing. So stay tuned for that. I think that'll be coming more towards the end of the month, but I'll be starting to talk about this on my Instagram in early January. That's my clothing budget. Beauty and personal care, I spent $88 on average last year. I set aside $120 for this last year, and I just didn't spend that much. So maybe this year I'll just put it at a flat $90 and keep it about the same. For home improvement, last year I spent $264. I'd like to keep this closer to $200. I think that this was sorry, I just heard something at my door. To be honest, I don't know what it was. I need to go back and do a control find in my document and see what I spent this on, but I don't think I need to be spending any more than $200 times 12 is $2,400. I don't think I need to be spending any more than that per year, so I'm going to try and rein this in a little bit. Buying stuff for my home is another one of my weaknesses. I really love decorating and creating a homey space, but I want to find a more economical way to do that this year, especially since we're moving. That's something that I could quickly go crazy with and buy a bunch of new stuff, but I want to find ways to be more economical about it. Gifts, last year I averaged $148. This year, again, I'd like to find ways to be more economical about this and spend about $100 per month. And miscellaneous, last year I had $49 per month fall in this category. This year I'm gonna round up just to be safe and say $60. And then with the money that's left, I would like to slightly increase how much I invest per year. Last year I invested about $2,500 a month towards the end of the year once I received my raise. And this year I'd like to bump that up a little bit more. My goal last year was to invest $30,000. I ended up investing about $27,700. And this year, if I invest $2,800 per month, that'll be about $33,600 for the whole year. So I want to continue to see the number I'm investing go up. So goal for the year is $2,800 per month. And that will leave me with savings of $1,991 per month. I really like to see this number because I'm hoping to make $1,250 per month from my side hustle, but if for some reason I don't hit this goal, that still leaves me about $700 per month to put towards my savings, which would be about $8,400 at the end of the year. And I'm happy with that. That basically means no matter what, I will save about $8,000, and anything on top of that I would make from this side hustle and from this page and brand deals and affiliates and selling my budget will just be a cherry on top, but not needed. So just to recap, last year I averaged $7,036 per month in income. This year I am hoping to average $7,982 per month in income, including the side hustle income I have planned for and hoped for. Last year in survival expenses, I spent $2,713. This year, I'm hoping to spend $1,888, and this is primarily because I no longer have a car payment. My rent will go up and some other areas I'm adjusting for inflation, but overall it will be way down because of that no car payment. Pleasure expenses last year, I spent $2,032. This year, I'm hoping to spend $1,302. Again, last year I got married, so travel was a huge expense for us, and this year I won't have that. So I'm super delighted to see all of these numbers going down because 2026 is going to be a chill year. Last year, I was left with $2,290 after all of my expenses and invested about $2,300, leaving me spending just about $20 over what I made last month, but I had that money in savings. So just pulled a little tiny bit out of my savings to hit my investments last year. And this year, I will be left with $4,791 after my expenses. $2,800 of that will go towards investments, and that will leave me with $1,991 per month to save. So this is the budget I have set for 2026. I hope this video helped you guys think through how you may approach your 2026 goals and just how you decide to spend your money. That's exactly what I hope to do with this page, is walk people a little less familiar with setting financial goals through what I've done over the last 5 years and how it's helped me build a bit more financial stability into my life and start to hit my investment and retiring early goals. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye.